The Iron Giant was originally brought to Warner Brothers by Pete Townsend and Des McAnuff as a project to do as a musical.
I was working with Pete Townsend on Tommy, which we did on Broadway and on the West End and all over the world. And Pete was developing his album, The Iron Man, into a theatrical project for the Young Vic, a theater company in Britain, and asked me basically for my advice. So I took his script for The Iron Man and his album, and the book. It's based on a book by Ted Hughes, of course, called The Iron Man. And when I finished looking at this material, I had a meeting with him, and I said, you know, frankly, I think this is an animated feature. And I then went to Warner Brothers with this idea. The Warner's folks decided they liked the idea, and off we went.
Warner Brothers Feature Animation asked me if there was anything in the projects they had in development, and they had like 35, 40 projects, a lot, in various stages of development. The one that really jumped out at me was Iron Giant. I read the original Hughes book and responded to it. I mean, you know, there was something really elemental and strong about this little boy and this giant metal man. But I had a different idea. I started thinking about machines and people and our relationship to technology, and I came up with this notion of asking myself, what if a gun had a soul?
He's a piece of hardware, Hogarth. He's a machine designed to kill.
I pitched it at Warner Brothers with Pete Townsend there. And I think Pete had sort of twin reactions. I think that on one hand, I think that he was intrigued by several of these ideas, but I think he was also kind of horrified that it was sort of becoming very different than the movie he originally set out to make. Pete didn't know me from Adam at this point, and I think that he really took a leap of faith to trust me, and Des did too, to develop this in a way that would, you know, do him proud and do the work that he had and Des had put into it proud.
Ted was wildly enthusiastic about Brad's treatment for the story and finally the script. Ted sadly died before the picture came out, so we never got to see the movie. Brad then brought Tim into the project to work on the script with him, feeling that he needed a collaborator.
In a way, this was sort of a throwback to the old days of Disney when the stories were worked out by they call story guys, which they worked out on storyboards first, and you know, before they ever wrote the script. We would see things that the storyboard guys had done, and usually, of course, they'd give a storyboard guy, you know, maybe a 3 to 6 minute scene. He would come up with 30 minutes worth of stuff, you know, great stuff, you know, and so it became just a great collaboration between Brad, you know, all these storyboard guys and myself, just coming up with great ideas. And Allison was, you know, the third member of this great, you know, team with Brad.
For me, it was a really dynamic, wonderful time on the movie because Brad was working with the writer and working with the storyboard guys, and it was just a dynamic sort of interchange between the two groups. And sort of over the course of the next few months, the first draft of the script came to be, utilizing some of the work that the storyboard guys had done and the writer and Brad, and it was just a real dynamic time.
It began as kind of a nail-biting experience for me because I was kind of sticking my neck out with these guys, Pete and Des, who are amazing in their you know, achievements, both of them. And you know, I was kind of saying, I want to go this slightly different way, and they endorsed it, and I think we had a happy ending.
I think the important thing that Ted produced in the book is this extraordinary relationship between Hogarth and this huge metallic creature. And I think that's the great power of the movie. You know, I think the social commentary is fabulous, and the political parallels are very interesting. But when it comes right down to it, what's really powerful is this extraordinary relationship. That's what will make this film timeless.